You may remember the late 1990s and the early 2000s. The internet was massive. Everybody was like excited about it. It was going to change our lives, and it has actually changed our lives. And there were these firms which had these massive valuations, and valuations which exceeded firms which were considered to be blue chip, which had been around for a long time, like the auto manufacturers. I just kind of finished my PhD, and I can be forgiven for wondering what the hell is going on. I mean, how is it that these firms have these valuations? Because when you are a student, you're taught that competition should drive profits down to zero. Not prices, but profits should be driven down to zero unless there are significant barriers to entry, in which case the firms will make monopolistic or oligopolistic profits. I started thinking, okay, what's going on? And I looked at these firms, and they didn't seem to have like particularly large setup costs. So it was essentially the barrier to entry was mind share. Okay, people are already familiar with a firm, a search firm or an email service, and then they wanted to keep using that because they're familiar with it. So I started thinking, okay, what is it that I can do to overcome this mind share? Because there is, it's not quite like working as theory says it should. You're not getting the close to zero profits, which competition should drive these the profits down to. Okay, so my first kind of take on this was that I'm going to have a portal. It sort of offers the same services as other portals. It's essentially search and some news and some other entertainment, like some humor and stuff. And if the users use my portal rather than some other portal of these established firms, then I would give them 99% of the profits that their usage generated. So basically, if a profit of a firm is valued at $100 billion and it gives 99% of that back to the users, then its share of those profits will fall to $1 billion, and 99 billion will go to the users. That seemed like a reasonable thing. I mean, why would a user use another firm if my firm was offering them, all the users together were being offered a lot of money? And so I came up with this. It's called 99 Co-op, and just based on the idea, it's a cooperative, and 99% goes to the users. And you can go to the Wayback Machine, it's there if you do a search for 99 Co-op. It was also called Rule the Net, with the motto, our users rule the net. So the users rule the net instead of the firms ruling the net. It's the users who own the net. That was the idea. So it's called Rule the Net. Also, that was just a second name for this. The primary name was 99 Co-op. And you can see this portal. It had a place for them to log in, a place for them to perform a search. It had news, like the latest news, which was scraped from the internet, and then it also had some humor. I think there is one you can see by Yogi Berra. I can't really read it. Anyway, so I thought it was a very nice portal, and then there was a place for the users to log in, and when they logged in, their usage would be recorded, and then they would be their share of profits, at 99%, which would go to users. Their share of that 99% would be based on what their usage was. So it didn't get traction. It's not, you've never heard of this before, so obviously it didn't get traction. And essentially, the issue was that in the real world, it is difficult for me to explain to the users what the idea was, and also I was underfunded. I couldn't really advertise and all, because I'm very good at generating ideas. I'm terrible at raising funds because my attitude has been, the idea is right. Why do you need me to explain to you why the idea is right? You should get it. Like, invest in my firm. Okay. I don't have patience. I don't have patience to explain to people why they should invest in the firm. So I didn't have funding. I mean, I was like, whatever money I could spend from whatever my job was giving me. So I was spending that. So it was underfunded, and then it wasn't getting traction. So I said, okay, let's think about what else I could offer the users. If this one is not working, what is the other thing that I could do, which would be not so difficult to convince them that it was genuine. I mean, essentially the point is that users there's a lot of skepticism in the real world, and I couldn't get past that. Anyway, so my next take on this was huge mail. And so huge mail, there was a time when the normal free email services were giving the users about 5 megabytes inbox size. So I said, okay, but providing email services still within my limited financial resources, and I'm going to give the users inbox size of 100 megabytes. Well, I started with 40, and then I increased it to 100. So they don't have to wait. I mean, they don't have to believe that they're going to get 99% of the profits. They'll get the reward immediately. By switching from the other free email services, they'll get 100 megabytes of email thing. I mean, it'll be visible to them, and they should succeed. And it did succeed. It succeeded too much. It was wildly popular, and it sort of overloaded and crashed the servers, and the servers were, I kind of got them running again, and so it was a bit of a rocky start to it, but it was working well. And then came in one of the big firms, and their opening pitch was that they were going to give 1000 megabytes or 1 gigabyte of email space. I got crushed. Okay. So it's back to the drawing board. And, of course, I had other ideas also. I was trying to different ideas for setting up farms, or about understanding the world, and ideas about evolution, and about how do we get to the best possible life, what is the purpose of our thinking, what is the purpose of life, what is the meaning of life, and so on. So I had my next attempt was kind of happened soon after, but I didn't really, I was just busy with some other things, and I've never really pushed hard on this one. So what is this next attempt? So the next attempt would be that if you have a non-profit, okay, that provides web services, the non-profit will pay out its profits to charities, so the users will uh, designate which charity should receive the profits generated by their usage. You look at like these web farms, they're like worth like trillions of dollars at this point. So instead of giving their profits to these web farms, instead of like their usage, it's the usage of the users which creates these trillions of dollars. So instead of giving it to the web farms, you can give it instead to a non-profit. Nothing like 99% and all that. That's like that's gone. Just give them the entire non-profit and give them the entire profits, and they designate which charity. There'll be a list of charities, and the users can also suggest some charities. And based on the amount of profits they generate, that profit is going to go to their charity, to their favored charity. Big tech is not really liked by a lot of people, and I think people would rather prefer to use the services of a non-profit, which will give them their profits to charities which they prefer, rather than giving it to the firms. Now, of course, this takes investment, and you can like start off by offering services that do not need a large investment, like email. Email is a relatively inexpensive service to provide. And later you can move on to other areas. So first, kind of establish yourself in by offering email services, and later you can move on to others. Now, of course, you need like some amount of financing. I would think maybe to get us like to a reasonably good start, you need like, let's say, $50 million. Or, I mean, it can probably be done for $1 million, but 50 million would make it give it a good chance of success. So how would you get that money? You can't offer equity to people. You can offer high yield debt. So you can like sell debt at 10 cents to the dollar. So you give out debt of 500 million, then which you sell for face value 500 million, which you sell for 50 million. If you want to do it, go for it. I'm not like really going to be working on this anytime soon. I have other things on my plate. So do the world good. Generate trillions of dollars for charity. Get it done. I think it will happen. Not a question of when. Not a question of if, a question of when. It will happen. I don't know when. Somebody's going to take this idea and they're going to make it happen. And